Rebecca Thomas, who is the foster parent support specialist for Lake and McHenry, right? Not just, or the whole northern region.
Just Lake and McHenry.
Right. So she covers both counties as far as offering, well, I'm going to let her tell you what she does, but and then if you guys have any questions for her in regards to the foster parenting and maybe what you guys have questions on your foster parents as well, or those kind of questions. So Rebecca, do you just want to give us an introduction on what you exactly do?
Sure. And is this all of your volunteers and CASA supervisors?
Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Rebecca Thomas, and like Stacy said, I am the foster parent support specialist for DCFS in both Lake and McHenry counties. And sorry. I've been doing this for about 3 years now. And what a support specialist does is exactly like the title suggests. We support foster parents, and that can be in a number of ways, in terms of issues that come up, and they can't get a hold of a worker right away and they have a quick question, they can call us. Sometimes it's more of an involved issue and they're just not getting anywhere with it. And sometimes because I have, contacts, I can kind of help them weave through the maze of DCFS and find the right person to talk to resolve their issue. We also help out with placements when workers call us. We help with placing children in homes. We know all of our homes that we support, and so we kind of know who will take children and who are the best ones to take certain children and will not be good to take certain children. So we help the workers make those calls and help them make the placements. And so in a nutshell, that's what we do as support specialists, which keeps us busy. So Stacy, is this kind of like opening up for questions or? Okay.
Sure. And so you just cover DCFS foster homes. Do you cover private agency foster homes?
Well, I do, because Lake County is an emergent site. And so because it is, I offer support to the private agency homes too. But I do that as well in McHenry. I mean, if a private agency home contacts me or a worker contacts me from a private agency and asks for some help and support, I will do that. And a lot of times it's word of mouth too. Like I might have a DCFS home that has a friend who is licensed with the private agency, and she says, "Oh, you should call Rebecca. Rebecca can help you with that." So I will support whoever needs it, as best that I can.
So if a foster parent is not having contact with their caseworker or is frustrated about not getting information, would that be a phone call that they could make to you?
Yes, and they do. They called me, and usually the workers or certainly the supervisors will pick up the phone or respond to my emails, and that usually helps get the ball going, and at least it helps the issue be put more in the forefront, that this needs help with ASAP,
Because I think a lot of times our CASAs get from the foster parents, they get feedback like I can't get a hold of my caseworker. So it would be appropriate for our CASA advocates to call you, to tell the foster parent to call you?
Sure, absolutely. They can give me a call and I can see what I can do. I don't know all the workers in the Woodstock office as well as I know the ones in Waukegan. But I can do that. Right. It's a revolving door, right? It's hard to keep up, but I can. Yes, I can, send that email, make that call and see if I can, get a response or get the answer that the worker or the foster parent is looking for. Or it may be a question that I may be able to help with too, that I may be able to answer for them as well. It could be, workers are extremely busy right now. I think we all know that their caseloads are outrageous right now. And it's not that they don't want to respond, but they have, 30 different emergencies happening, that all have to be resolved that day. And so I help where I can. And I do get calls from Lake County CASA workers, with regards to that. If do I know this worker and can I see what I can do to, help with this, or yeah, so I'll take those calls and do what I can.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Rebecca?
Okay.
So Rebecca, is this a new agency or has it been around? And it's just the first time I'm hearing of it.
No, these positions have been, I don't know how long they've been around, but they've been around a long time. Like my boss, Debbie Frecky, has been a support specialist for, I want to say, like 20 some years. And another one of my coworkers, Arlene Woods, has been doing this for about 30 years. The program has been around with DCFS for a long, long time. Now, there hasn't always been support specialists in all the counties all the time. So I think that's probably where the disconnect is. And I just started, 3 years ago. And I think prior to me starting, there wasn't an active support specialist for quite some time in Lake and McHenry in particular. So that's why you probably haven't heard, anything about the support specialist program. But the program in itself has been around, and there's supposed to be a support specialist assigned to all the counties in the entire state.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, I get a lot of calls from Lake County because that's where I was initially introduced. It was in Lake County because initially that was supposed to be my only county. And so I get, calls from them about things like, do I know or can I find a pediatric dentist, in Lake? And I just got one. Actually, it must be the case must be out of Lake, but the foster parents must be in McHenry County. And I got asked recently, could I help find a pediatric dentist in McHenry in a particular area? So I get calls like that. I get calls about just supporting, maybe it's a relative caregiver, and a lot of times they're kind of out there on their own, and they need help finding resources and so forth, and just someone to talk to. And I'll get a call. Can you help this relative caregiver find some resources for groceries or beds? I got a call one time about helping to locate some beds for some kids. So the calls are across the board, the support that we give.
What would you say is the most common call or concern that the foster parent might have?
Usually it's about not being able to get a hold of the worker, or, you know, they're needing something and it's time sensitive. You know, let's say it's a, maybe it's a travel request, an out-of-state travel request, let's say, for example, and those are always time sensitive, and they need a response from the worker. You know, can you help, you know, with this? Or yeah, I have one family right now trying to get a passport, and, you know, passports are taking months to get, and they want to go away at Christmas. Well, you know, I'm good at things, but I'm not a miracle worker, you know, and that comes all the way up from Janet Ahern's office. So, you know, that's way above my pay grade, you know. So I listen. I mean, I can listen and be a supportive ear and do what I can do, you know. And sometimes that's really what foster parents need. They just need somebody to listen and validate that they're being heard, and their concern, you know, is important, you know, to them.
Right. I can, so you know where the services are, or what's available with DCFS. So it's a good you're a good resource for trying to, if we're need, like you said, Janet Ahern, not even everyone knows that it would, I mean, things need to go through any medicine, any travel have to have forms filled out and completed. And sometimes the caseworkers don't do those too timely and then they don't get back in time. So.
Right.
How would a foster parent know about you and your number?
If they are on the DCFS vacancy list, I call, pardon me?
What is it called? DCFS what list?
The vacancy list, the list of DCFS foster homes that are on the DNet. I don't know if you all have access to that or not, or
No.
but if we have a vacancy list that's there, and when a newly licensed home pops up on that vacancy list, I will call them. So anybody that has been licensed in the last, for sure, within the last 3 years, they have gotten a phone call from me within the first 2 weeks of getting their license. And I call, I introduce myself, I send them a brochure about foster parent support specialist program. I send them a copy of the monthly newsletter that I send out, invite them to join, you know, the Lake County area foster parent support group, as well as we have monthly support group meetings that meet online, and get them connected with that. So I have about 88 parents right now, between the DCFS homes, some private agency homes, and relative caregiver homes in Lake and McHenry County. So that's how they know, and word of mouth, you know. I've even had parents call me from Cook County, which I'm at a loss when it comes to Cook County, because that's like it's a whole nother country over there, you know, the way that they do things. But they can call me. I will put them in touch with the correct foster parent support specialist. But they got my name because, you know, somebody here in Lake or McHenry County they're friends with, and they told, oh, call Rebecca, you know. So yeah, that's how people find out about me. Private agency homes, before COVID, some of you probably know, and I know Stacy, you know her, Norma McKay was taking me around and introducing me to the private agencies to say, hey, this is Rebecca, you know, if you need any help with support for your foster families. But then COVID hit, and then we didn't get to that. So private agencies is pretty much word of mouth, how they, you know. And I post things, you know, I post things on the Lake County area foster parent support page. I will post on, there's a McHenry one, Illinois advocacy, Illinois advocate group of McHenry or something like that. And then of course the Illinois state one, I might post things on there too. So then people get my name, especially the private agency homes get my name that way too.
Is this
Carol, I think
brochure
you were gonna
something
ask
you
me-
might be able, I'm sorry, is this brochure that you have something you could share with us for the advocates?
Sure, I can send that.
That would be excellent.
Do you want me just to send that to Stacy and have Stacy forward it then?
I think that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay, yeah, be more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
And Carol, I think you were going to ask a question.
Actually, you answered it, so.
Oh, okay.
So how did you learn about all these resources and become the person that knew all this stuff?
Well, part of it was the support specialists are either current or former foster parents. So back when I started, we got our license like about 5 years ago. We became licensed foster parents. So part of what I knew was from doing it myself and knowing where the resources are. And then part of it was, you know, jumping right in there and figuring out who's who and making phone calls and asking a lot of questions of my boss, who again is Debbie Frecky. And Debbie's been a foster parent for like 30 some years and has been a support specialist for like 25 of those years. So wealth of information there. And, you know, if she doesn't know it, I'm not sure who does, but so, you know, we have a really great team across the northern region. And, you know, we meet once a week with each other. And of course, we can always call each other and say, hey, what do I do in this case? Where are these resources at? And then again, it's a lot of it is just connecting with people, you know, that are involved in, you know, the foster care system. And what resources that are out there and that are available. I'm always learning though. I'm always, oh, I didn't know that existed, you know?
Things change a lot too, so that's.
They do.
Like
So
that
how would you- what is-
pediatric dentist will take kids and then all of a sudden they don't take them, you know, it's like.
Well, and that's exactly what happened because I passed on a list of 3 dentists and one of them already is no longer taking, you know, the youth care. Well, that just happened, I think recently, because the last time that I sent someone there, which I want to say was back in the spring, April or May, they were taking. So that's no longer, you know, that dentist is no longer available. So you're right.
It changes, yes. What involvement do you have in training the foster parents? Do you have any involvement?
I don't do the training that they all the trainings that are out there that are on the virtual training center. I don't do those trainings. So the trainings that I would do, I bring people in, like my support group. You know, we bring some people in every month to speak on a particular topic, you know, like this past month it was implementation plans. Last month it was adoption and guardianship. So
One month
you
it
know,
was Wisconsin.
and that's right. And one month it was CASA's. We need to get you guys this next year. I have you on my list to get you on next year, which month you guys want. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't gotten involved in the training. The training takes a lot of commitment and time to do. And like my boss is training 3 nights a week and on Saturday right now. You know, that's an awful lot of time to give in addition to doing, you know, the job too. So I'm not sure I want to be that busy. I've got grandkids to see.
So this monthly support group that you're talking about, this is something that both traditional and relative caregivers could be part of?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Because the topics that we discuss would pertain, to anyone that's fostering or is a caregiver to, children in the system.
very good.
How does the caseworker get involved with this? Yeah, I mean, if a foster parent is looking for something and not getting what they need, and they involve you, Rebecca, how does the caseworker, how does that all work together?
Well, if I have a relationship with the caseworker, actually it goes very well because they, especially the caseworkers that know me, since, pretty much everybody in the Waukegan office anyway, they're newer than me. I mean, they've come in the last 2 years. And so they kind of, and I'm always amazed at this, that sometimes they will ask me, well, what do I do? Which form do I use? And I'm like, oh my goodness. A little scary, but I'm happy to help them because I know they're new and they're trying to, figure it all out. So I have these relationships built with the caseworkers, so which makes it very easy because they will take my calls and I will pick them up and we'll talk about, what's going on with the case or what have you, or and I try to be as supportive as I possibly can, always offering to do whatever I can to help that will lighten their load. If I can, I don't know, make a call for them or whatever that may be. Maybe some of the workers that I don't know quite so well, and I will say that the workers in Woodstock, I'm just now within this last year getting to know them better.
Okay.
And in fact, one of the workers has already left. She's left to gone on to another, or a couple of them actually, to other offices. So it's like Stacy has commented on, it's just ever revolving, and building those relationships then helps when I try to get involved, in something that's going on with the foster parent or that particular case, because they're comfortable with me and they know they can trust me to share information and be a help and support to them as well. It's that balancing act to, I'm kind of in the middle because I hear the story from the foster parents and then I hear the story from the worker, and then somewhere in the middle is where it's where the
to
truth
figure that
lies,
out.
so to speak. So and I try to balance that and not, I'm not about to put blame, one place or the other, because really we just need to get the problem solved. I don't want to spend a lot of time, blaming the other, because we really just need to fix it for the kids,
Okay,
does that answer that, Alice?
it sure did. Yes, it did. I was just
Okay.
curious about how the relationship works and how, the reporting, bringing the caseworker into it. If a foster parent needs help and goes to you, then what does the caseworker know and how does that all work? So yes, you did answer my question. Thank you.
Okay.
So Rebecca, you work just with DCFS caseworkers, because 4 out of the 5 cases I had, they were private agency caseworkers DCFS had contracted out. I only had one case where I actually had a DCFS caseworker. So these other agency caseworkers, you probably don't have any contact with then, right?
I do feel contact with some of them. With
Okay.
some of it just depends. I don't know them as well, again, as I know the DCFS caseworkers, but I do know them. In fact, I know at least one that's a foster parent. So I know her very well. But one of the other things that helps is kind of as a part-time job to my part-time job, I work for Let It Be Us. I don't know if you've heard of Let It Be Us, but they're actually a licensed child welfare agency with DCFS as well. and their primary goal is to help with placements. And that's what I do. So I will help when agencies give referrals, they send them to Let It Be Us, and then I will contact those workers, which a lot of the referrals we get are from private agencies. So that's how I've been able to get to know a lot of the workers in the private agencies, is by working with them through Let It Be Us. So they may not necessarily know me as, you know, the support specialist, but they know me as, you know, the placement person with Let It Be Us. So.
And you're the only one doing this for Kane and McHenry County, or Lake and McHenry County?
Yes.
Lake. You're the only one.
Wow. The only one for the support specialist. Yeah, it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
it's a little more than you know, it was supposed to be just a, you know, a part-time job, and well, it turns into, you know, 8-10-hour days a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know, when it's really busy, especially with all the cases that have been coming in recently, and disruptions and all that. It's been pretty wild the last, you know, couple of months for sure.
So so the caseworker, when they need a placement and or like a disruption, they need to move the child or find a placement from a hospital, or move the child to specialized foster care. Do they reach out to you guys at Let It Be Us, or is it, do they?
Yeah, they do. They usually, you know, they usually start with, you know, the support specialist. So I'll usually see the, you know, the referral first as a support specialist, if it's a DCFS case. And, you know, we'll work on it. And if we don't have homes, then I know it's not going to be too much longer, and it's going to pop on my other screen, my Let It Be Us screen, and they're going to have referred it to Let It Be Us. So I get to continue working on it by calling, you know, the people and doing a search through the Let It Be Us database.
I wasn't sure how many caseworkers were using that, because we have several kids that need to find placements, and you know, they just say there's nothing, instead of, you know, I don't hear that they're using Let It Be Us, but
I can tell you they're using it a lot more recently. I mean, the number of referrals that have come into Let It Be Us has really skyrocketed in the last couple of months, because there aren't enough homes in Lake and McHenry counties, and so, you know, that search needs to be broadened, widened, and Let It Be Us has the ability to do that, because there's the database has people from, you know, all across the state of Illinois. So a lot use it.
So if our case is a McHenry County case, but say the child is placed in a home in Kankakee, would you be the support specialist, or would it be someone different?
I would probably work with the person in Kankakee, because the person in Kankakee is still in the northern region. And so I would be the support specialist for that family, but my coworker, Arlene Woods, is the support specialist down in Kankakee. And so if I needed help, because, you know, I don't know the workers and everything that's going on in the Kankakee office, I could certainly pick up the phone and ask her about it, and, you know, we'd work together on it. But I would be the support specialist for that family, because I support the family, and I have foster parents that are DCFS licensed foster parents, but they have children from private agencies. So I still support them, even though the case isn't through DCFS, as best I can.
Anybody have any other?
Are you worried that we're going to have a whole lot, that all these CASAs are going to run out and tell their foster parents to call you?
That's all right,
I
you
just
know?
did. I just called them. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you put me on blast. No, I'm not worried. I mean, I'm happy to do it. I love what I do. I really do. I mean, it's kind of been I grew up with this because both of my parents were social workers. And so this was something that as kids, I mean, we heard this, you know, the dinner table, you know, because they both worked in the same office, and you know, we would hear this. I tell the story. I remember, and this was back in the 70s though, my mom was on call one weekend, and there was a newborn that had been left in the hospital. So she had to go pick this newborn up, and she took me with her. And this was before car seats. So, and I just cringe every time I think about this though, but I was the car seat. I held this baby because we took this baby actually it was kind of like an SOS village. I don't know if you're familiar with how the SOS villages work, where it's a group of foster homes that are in one particular area, and then there's a foster parents in that house, but then they try to keep sibling groups together. But anyways, that's what it was. It was more like a group home. It wasn't an individual family, but they were all congregated together on this one property. But anyway, so I mean, I was, you know, it's just in my blood to do this. I did not go to school for it. My background is I have a master's degree in education, in adult education. So, but I always ran social service programs, grant programs on colleges and universities with, you know, special populations. So even though I tried to get it out of my system, it didn't work. But I truly love what I'm doing, and I have no problem helping people, you know, find the resources that they need, and especially the children, and making sure that the children are taken care of. So yeah,
Cool.
so happy to do it.
Do you have foster kids now?
We do not, because we moved last year just up over the state line. So we're in Wisconsin now. Yeah. So we have to work on getting our license here if we want to continue doing that. But we did before that. I'm not sure, you know, when I was doing this, when we had foster kids, it kind of was, I might have had a different answer to Sherry's question, because, you know, then I really needed it to be part-time because the kids were full-time. And now with as full-time my part-time job is, I don't know that I would be able to take on as much as I am taking on. I feel like there are other ways that I can help in the system. And maybe this is where I need to be right now. So.
Right.
Work that you do, does it impact, how does it impact reunification versus choosing another path kind of things with the kids? Does it, do you see any crossover there?
I'm not sure.
Like, I'm wondering how it might show up in our court reports, how it might show up in terms of supporting the family versus, you know, if you're supporting the foster parents and they want to adopt, but they're trying to reunify, you know, sometimes there's a mix of goals going on.
Yeah, now I get it. Yes, I completely understand that. I mean, and I know I have to, I don't know if you call it being the bearer of bad news, you know, that foster care is reunification. And I have had to say that, you know, frequently, that foster care is reunification. And, you know, that's always the goal until the goal is changed. So that's always in the forefront of my mind. I mean, yeah, there are some cases where, you know, I think to myself, there's no way that these children need to go back based on what's going on. But yet and still, until that plays out in, you know, in the courts, that's where we have to go with it. So when I support the foster parents, you know, that's what I'm saying. Because that's what it is, you know. So I do
You get
training.
to know about what the goal is. I mean, do you always know what the current goal is, or no?
If the foster parents tell me, and usually they do, they know, and they will tell me, you know, most of my information for the most part is coming from what the foster parents tell me. I mean, I think people think that, you know, somehow I have access to the DCFS inner systems, you know, or that the workers, you know, because something happens with the workers or something happens in court, I automatically get notified, and I don't. You know, I'm the only way that I'm really getting notified is when the foster parent calls and talks to me about it, or I'm doing my monthly check-ins and they're telling me what's going on. Then I know what's going on, you know. So, yeah, because one hand doesn't always know what the other hand is doing, you know. And I tell people all the time, really, the support specialists, we're really the low people on the totem pole. You know, we're always the last to know. And we're the ones to know when there's a crisis situation, and then they want us to fix it. You know, and I usually I tell foster parents, let me know before things get really bad, you know. Let me know before you get to that point, because you know, it's easier to, you know, do little things along the way, and instead of, you know, everything's about ready to blow up, and you know, that it's harder to fix, as it is with most scenarios, most situations, right?
I would guess that you spend a lot of time talking to foster parents about their reunification, and having them try to get them on board with supporting that, because, you know, a lot of the foster parents want to keep the kids. So I know we run into that quite a bit as well. So, but just getting them to support the reunification is a job in itself, probably, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, because I get it, you know, being a foster parent, I get it. You know, we reunified, you know, a couple of kids, and so, you know, it's hard. It's hard when that happens, because you've had this child in your home, and you know, they've been part of your family, and sometimes it's easier to do if you have a good, you know, if you have a good relationship with the parents and you know the parents. I think it's a little bit easier, you know, to support and have the child go back. You know, I had one case, though, I cried all the way home when I dropped that child off, because I didn't know where that child was going. You know, I had to trust, you know, but I don't know, but it's part of fostering, you know, and to try and help. You're right, Stacy, to help people understand that, though, that you know, you got to put yourself out there, you know. And what I say to people is you've got to love, protect these children for as long as they need you, you know. And that could be 6 weeks, that could be 6 months, 6 years, or it could be forever, you know, whatever that time frame is. But that's what fostering is about, you know, whatever that looks like, you know. And
Right.
know that whatever time you've had them, you have made a significant difference in their lives, you know, for that period of time. And they will remember it. I remember I met one of the foster parents when I first became a support specialist. I met, and she herself had been a youth in care, and she shared with me her story. And she talked about the second foster home that she had, and she was actively trying to find that person, because she said that home, that family made such a difference in her life, even though she had been reunified, which she said wasn't a good thing. She wished she would have been able to stay in that foster home, but they made such a significant difference that, 20 or 30 years later, she still remembered everything that they did for her and her brother, so. But,
So Rebecca, what is your relationship with the courts? In other words, if a foster parent calls you and needs some assistance, needs a resource, there's confidentiality involved there. How does that work with you and what you do?
I don't have much involvement with the courts, other than I usually will pick up the phone and call the CASA director if it's something that has to do with the courts. I'll call Stacy, or I'll call Margaret in Lake County, and see get a better understanding of what's going on. So my only involvement is I know our new Judge Ortiz. I got him to come to our support group meeting and meet with all the parents and answer questions. So I just brought the source to them. Here he is.
Okay.
Of course, he couldn't answer specific questions, but they could talk in generalities,
Okay.
with them. So, so that's my involvement
Okay.
with the courts.
So you don't attend court or go with the foster parent or anything like that. Yeah, and if it's a court question, you would probably, like call me or
Right.
call the caseworker to find out
Right.
what's going on in court.
Got it.
Right.
So a similar path that you guys have to take.
Right.
You
Yeah,
have-
that sounds familiar.
Yeah. Anything else? Well, Rebecca, we're very happy that you came on to talk with us. Appreciate your time.
Sure.
And,
And I'll share that brochure with you, Stacy,
Okay.
and then you can feel free to send, my contact information out to everybody too.
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll be coming. Who was that person that I was supposed to? Yeah.
Right.
When the foster parent had a question. Yeah, but it's good to know. I mean, that foster parents do get frustrated. We as CASAs get the brunt of that frustration quite often, as far as, they don't know where to turn. They don't know what to do for some, when we keep hearing out about how busy the caseworkers are, but they're still supposed to be taking care of these kids and helping the foster parents provide the services. So we all need to work as a team. That's the bottom line.
And that's the truth. I mean, we really need to be a team these days, for sure, with as busy as everybody is, so.
Yeah, everyone has a role, and we're all have the same goal, is to help the kids and try to support everybody so that the kids can hopefully go home, or have
Right.
some kind of permanency anyway.
Right.
So,
And there's the key, permanency, yes.
yeah, Illinois is last in the whole country. So
Really?
yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, I sit on a couple statewide boards and work groups, and one of them is a permanency group. The Adoption Council and the Foster Care Council have kind of combined to really take a look at this issue of permanency and what can be done to, because Illinois has been, I mean, ever since I've been a foster parent, I know it's been talked about that Illinois is last or at the bottom part, you know, but I've never been able to get anybody to tell me, you know, why that is, or who is it that's doing it really well? Who does this well? And
Yeah,
then
that's true.
let's do what they're doing, you know, but I guess I'm not asking the right person yet. So. I don't know.
I know. It's frustrating, but we all have to do our part. That's all I can.
That's right.
Someday we can say we may be first, right? But
Yeah.
it's a big turnaround. But anyway, so we'll
those are-
keep you guys. So thank you, Rebecca, very much.
Sure.
We appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
You're very
And,
welcome.
Thanks, and have a good vacation. And
All right.
everyone have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to all you guys soon.
Okay,
All
Thank
right,
you.
sounds good.
Take care.